Hello everybody, Nathan here with a Minetest quick tutorial actually. Today we're going to be looking at privileges, how to give them to yourself, how to revoke them from people on servers, how to give them to people on servers, and kind of just what they are in general. So let's dive right in. Now, according to the wiki page on devminetest.net for privileges, these are your possible privileges. Shout, which means you can talk with people on the server. That is by default something that you usually have. Interact, which is building, digging, placing nodes. Depending on servers, you may or may not have that. In a single player game, of course, you automatically have that. Fast, which lets you travel very fast. By default, single player game, you don't have fast. Give, that's when you use the give and give me commands to give yourself nodes, such as if we type in give me default wood 20, you'll see now we have 20 of the default wood nodes. There's fly, which will let you obviously fly. It's pretty self-explanatory there. Noclip, which will actually let you travel through nodes. Teleport, which will let you teleport to a certain string of X, Y, and Z coordinates for the location. Or you can, I believe you can teleport to players as well. There's also a bring, which is very much like teleport, but it pulls a different player to your specific location or another location. There's also the set time command, which I use quite often, and if you've been watching my videos for any amount of time, you have probably seen me use this. It lets you, set time, and we want, what do you mean invalid command? Oh. Duh, I'm an idiot. You do time. And then you type in what time you want it to be. And it'll change the time, and you actually, that was pretty cool. Saw the stars move. 6,000's about 6 a.m. in the morning. There's a server command, which I won't get into, but that's all your server stuff, like starting up, shutting down servers. Of course, I'm doing this as a single player game, so I don't think those would work. And then there's the privs command, which I think, yeah, here it tells me this are the privileges I have. I have server, teleport, rollback, home, shout, privs, password, basic privs, interact, give, kick, bring, set time, and ban. Basic privs, that is having the ability to set, interact, and shout to people by using the grant and revoke commands. Ban, you can ban and unban IPs and names. Kick, pretty much just kick somebody off the server. Rollback will let you somewhat go back in time in your server and undo some changes. I believe that has to be configured though, and I've never done that, so I will leave that alone. And then there is an all, which you can use grant all, and it'll give you everything. So, how do we use these privileges? Well, first you can use the slash key here on your keyboard. That'll pull up this little window, which you can put your privilege into. Or you can use your chat key, which in most cases is T, and then put the slash in there. Or you can use F10, which will give you this nice little drop-down kind of console up here, which you can scroll through with the mouse wheel. Of course, I don't have enough information in there to scroll through it. And then you just, of course, do the slash again. And then, how about we grant ourselves, well, actually first, F10 closes that, by the way. Actually, so cool. Anyways, let's first try to fly here. So we're just hitting space a bunch and obviously not flying. K on the keyboard is usually, of course you can change that, but by default it's K. And it says free move enabled. Note, no fly privilege. So obviously we can't do it yet. So let's go ahead and grant single player, because that's my name. I'm a single player in the single player game. And I'm going to grant the privilege fly. It'll now show a listing of all the privileges that single player has, and if we hit K, we can enable free move, and now when we hit spacebar, we will fly. We hit K, take it off. Sometimes, oh wait, have they changed that? Let's say at one point you could double tap on spacebar to enable free move, but it looks like that has been fixed. I'm using a daily build, so this may or may not be into the current base version. Shouting, of course, is just when you type in the chat and go like, Hey, you peoples. If I didn't have the shout privilege, I wouldn't be able to do that. So now, let's say we want to not have the fly privilege. How would we do that? Well, and it's the same for every privilege, you just change the name, but you would do revoke, and again, because we're in single player, it would be single player fly. And now if I try to fly, I have no fly privilege. I cannot fly. Now, of course, if you're on a server, and you are the server admin, and you want to give somebody a privilege, what would you do? Well, you would do grant. Then you need to know their username. So let's pretend that I'm on this server. I believe that's my username, usually on a server. And then we would say we want to give this guy the fly privilege, and we'd hit enter. Now, of course, in this case, because I'm not using it on a server, it's telling me that player doesn't exist. But if I was connected to this, and it was a server, and that was my username, I would now have the fly privilege. And I believe... Actually, that's not going to work, of course, because he doesn't exist. But you can see what privileges all of the users have on a server by typing privs and then their username. And it'll give you a listing of their specific privileges. Now, if I revoke my interact privilege, and then we close that, I will not... Hey, what? I'm not supposed to be able to do that? Interact. Okay, what? I do have interact. But I just revoked interact. Didn't I? Oh. Yeah, I suppose I would have to start it with the slash. Duh. Revoke single player interact. And that should be... Why is it still there? Interact. Can I not revoke that on myself? You might not be able to revoke interact for yourself. But you could do it for another user and then they wouldn't be able to dig. They'd pretty much just be able to look at the world and see what people have built and placed, but they wouldn't be able to do any kind of digging or clicking on... Well, they could click on things, but they wouldn't be able to remove nodes, place nodes. Pretty much it would stop them from griefing. Let's see what else. Noclip. Noclip's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at that grant. Single player Noclip. Now, I can use free move. Oh, but I have to... Yeah, I suppose I would, because I can't clip through things if I don't have fly. So we'll go ahead and grant myself fly as well. There now. Where's Noclip? Noclip enabled. And free move enabled. We can walk right through the ground. We can go underground. And we can say, oh, hey, look at all of these tunnel systems. This looks like it's a big dungeon over here. And that's actually, this is default game. I don't have any mods enabled right now. This is actually a really sweet looking dungeon right here. Of course, I can't see anything, so let's go ahead and just grab 20 torches and light this place up. Wow, this is actually a really cool dungeon. Wow. I have not seen a dungeon that's this full of rooms and stuff in a long while. Now, of course, in those, because I still am in free move, I'm not falling, and I can just kind of go wherever I willist. It's kind of weird, though, that the dungeon doesn't connect to the dungeon. Stair stop, it's just kind of like two dungeons that are right next to each other, but they don't connect. And then we got this stairway here. Wow. Okay, well, this wasn't really too spend time looking at dungeons, so let's get back up to the ground level here. Turn off remove, turn off Noclip so we don't accidentally start walking through things. Now sometimes if you are in single player and you just want to have everything, you can do grant single player all, which now I have all of the available privileges. And of course you can also do revoke single player all, which doesn't revoke all things. And the ones that are not revoked, there is in the configuration file for Minetest, there is a setting for privileges for new players, and it will show you server teleport, rollback, home, shout, privs, passwords, basic privs, interact, give, kick, bring, set time, and ban. Those are all set to true as default privileges for a single player. Evidently, because of that, you cannot revoke them on yourself. Now, when you do it, if you're hosting your own server, you of course set those privileges to be whatever for anybody logging in. You probably wouldn't want to be giving out server privileges or rollback or privs or basic privs probably. Probably don't want to have kick or bring or ban or set time available for people, because otherwise they're just going to wreak havoc on your server. Or they could anyways. They won't necessarily do it. All people are not bad. We do have enough in here now though where I can use the scroll wheel and we can see all the chats and commands that have been issued. So that's a really nice way to kind of see back the history. If you missed some chats or something, you can kind of catch on them with that. Mods can add their own privileges. So the privileges I listed here, these are only the ones that default game has. Or I should say it's Minetest game now. It used to be default, now it's Minetest game. Those are just the privileges that subgame adds. Mods can add their own privileges. I have added privileges to mods. I have dealt with mods that have their own privileges. It would the exact same way. You would still do a grant single player, or if it's a server, the username, and then whatever the privileges. So I just went ahead and added privileges to Don Batman's My Board Games mod and his My Arcade mod, which actually him and Ferk worked on for the Shadow Pixel server, which relatively new server. They're doing a TV show in Canada or something, and they wanted this. People were abusing it and kind of griefing, placing stuff all over. So I went ahead and created these privileges. So you would do the exact same thing here. Of course, well, in this case I typed single player wrong, but that privilege doesn't exist either right at the moment because I don't have that mod enabled. So it won't do anything. But that is how you would use custom privileges as well. You just have to know what the privilege name is, and then you grant it. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a way where you can just list all privileges. Because I think when you do, yeah, it says what privileges you have. I don't believe there is a way that you can just see what all privileges are. You would have to pretty much go into each mod and see what their privileges are in those mods, and then grant and revoke them from there. So that was just a quick look at privileges, guys. I'm going to be doing some more of these like basic Minetest type stuff. I'm going to call it like a Minetest 101 series. So I'm going to be doing that for a while. I'll still be doing mod reviews, of course, but these and mod reviews will kind of be switching on and off and stuff. So hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned something. Share it with your friends, your enemies, anybody you know that's trying to set up a server, or people who are having trouble with servers, and like people are just messing stuff up. How do I stop them? Show them this video. So I will catch you guys next week. Thanks for watching.